welcome back to the channel. After I filmed this video, I realized that maybe I should do a video on how I get these big batches, like this one, and the list goes on. The catch is I don't have Diamond Cart and I have never gotten Diamond Cart, but I'm still getting these high paying orders, and although I revealed a few of my tips in that video, I wanted to go more in depth and give more information on how I'm getting these large batches even though I'm not in any major city and don't have Diamond Cart. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the first and most important thing, this may seem really basic, but it has a huge impact on the orders that you get, and that is your phone connection. I've had a few different carriers over the last few years of doing Instacart, and depending on which carrier I have and which coverage there is and where I'm sitting and waiting for orders has a huge impact on the orders that I see. Not only does it have an impact on the orders I see, but also if I get a notification, sometimes if I'm not in a good enough area, or in the past when I've had a different phone carrier, I'd click on the notification and every single time without fail it would say that the order is already gone, or I'd have to sit there refreshing the screen and it was just too late. I recommend looking up the different phone service options in your area, seeing which ones have the most coverage, and especially in the places that you want to be waiting for orders, whether you choose to wait at stores or in some certain area, phone connection is a huge factor. The second and also a very important thing is to figure out what is considered high paying in your area. Not every single area is going to dish out, $100, $90 orders consistently or frequently, or they just may not at all. So the more you work for Instacart, the more you see what type of orders are popping up and which ones you take, you'll start to get a good idea of what orders are considered high paying in your area and which ones aren't. You can also test out different metros, different areas to do Instacart in. However, the algorithm works a little funny, and I might do an entire video on the algorithm very soon, but changing metros too many times too frequently can also interfere with the orders that you see. So if you try out a metro for, let's say, a day, 2 days, maybe even a week, you still may not know if that is a good area to do Instacart in or not. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but a lot of the time I've noticed when I've changed from one area to another, I really have to be there consistently to start seeing the actual orders that are good and that I'd actually take. Another important factor, and of course you should do this in every single order, but if you do get a high paying order, or what you would consider a high paying order, make sure you go the extra mile and try your very best to get a 5-star rating. Don't ask for the 5-star rating, but just be extra cautious and thoughtful with the order. Of course, you should do that with every order. However, the algorithm does favor shoppers where a customer has given them 5 stars. So if a customer gives you 5 stars, you are more likely to see their order again. And if they're a consistent high tipper, or they just consistently order big orders, you're more likely to see their orders over other people if they've given you a 5-star. Another tip is that if you are multi-apping, make sure you check the app frequently. Sometimes for these big orders, they don't set out notifications. They may also just pop up very, very quickly and there isn't a time to send a notification. And so if you're not going into the app frequently, you just may miss the orders altogether. I also noticed that sometimes they will send out a high paying order with a low paying order. And if I'm not in the app, they may send out a notification for a $10 order, but when I click on it, there's actually a $10 order and let's say a $60 order. It's happened enough times where I do think that it matters. And over the last few years, I would say about half the high paying orders that I have gotten have not had notifications with them. They've either been from me checking the app or just being in the app, or like I said, clicking on a notification that isn't that high paying order, but it ends up being there anyway. Also, if you're multi-apping, Instacart wants to know that you're still online, you're still active, and so making sure you're going back into that app frequently will help with just any order in general, not just high paying orders. And of course, you really just have to work with Instacart. Work with their algorithm, work with what they want. I've noticed that even if I take a few days break, it takes a second for me to get the orders that I really want to see. And so I've noticed that you consistently have to do orders to get bigger orders. Typically, if I know that I'm going to be working a decent amount of hours, right when I get on, I'll try to get some sort of order, whether it's a $10, $15, $20 order. Even if it's not that great, I like to just get an order started for the day. And typically, if I do that, I will see a bigger order later on. Sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it takes a little bit, but I do feel that it matters because on the days that I don't start off with taking some sort of order, I usually don't really get anything, whether it's high paying or even just anything good enough to take. Part of the whole system with these gig apps is that they want to keep you hooked, they want to keep you doing orders. And so if you start off your shift with doing an order, they're going to want to keep you online, not using other apps, and so they're going to keep sending you good orders. And also remember that a high paying order isn't the only type of good order that there is. Of course, if you're looking at the miles, the dollars, the items, the type of items, those can also just be really good orders. If you can bang out $25, $30, $40 orders consistently throughout the day, you're looking at a pretty decent paycheck, where if you sat around waiting for a $90, $100 order, you may just not get it. And also remember that there isn't necessarily a high paying order that is getting sent out every single day. Especially in the middle of the week, it just may not happen. Personally, I like to cherry pick the Instacart orders that I do, and I typically do aim for really good orders. Like I said, I will do some okay orders to get the better orders, but personally, I have not had Diamond Cart this entire time, and I just have not really found it motivating enough to try to get it, because I feel like I can make good enough money without it. Obviously, every single area, every single metro is going to be different. Some, it may be really important that you have Diamond Cart, but others, if you're working with the system, if you're following the tips that I gave and just your own experiences, you may still get those high paying orders without Diamond Cart. And even though this job is easy, I think it's important to remember that there is some sort of system as to how to get these high paying orders. There's a system on how these apps work. They are programmed, which means that there's some sort of algorithm, and if you can figure it out, even if it's different where you are, if you can figure it out, you should be able to make a decent amount of money. It's also important to remember that Instacart, like I mentioned in this video, I noticed that once I started taking double and triple batches, I started getting access to a lot more of them, which also meant that I got access to more of the high-paying double and triple orders. Instacart really does like to send orders similar to what you've accepted, because it is an app, it is programmed, there is some sort of algorithm. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys found it helpful. I hope you guys start to get some bigger orders with the tips that I gave. And other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.